who had a conflict as well. She's not as familiar with the product, and that would be a great way to talk more.
Okay,
and
perfect.
And our director of security is on vacation, and so Aaron technically is the captain, the number 2. So yeah, it'd be great if we could record it and just send that.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, I just started recording it right now, so we are recording this, and so just to give you kind of a quick background on myself, I'm George Homer. I'm an account executive here at LawRoom and CampusClarity. I've been here close to 9 years and helped hundreds of higher ed institutions with Title IX, Campus Save, harassment prevention, and other compliance-related topics. So we'll talk about our agenda. We'll talk about what we're seeing, what you're seeing. We'll talk about the 7 elements of an online training program. We'll talk about the Campus Save Act requirements. We'll actually go through course content, talk a little bit about CampusClarity by the numbers, and we'll talk about action items and next steps. And so I want to take a minute now to talk about what we're seeing from other colleges and universities that are facing similar challenges to meet Title IX and Campus Save Act training requirements. And so we talk about student buy-in. And so oftentimes when evaluating the program, the administration is really quick to bring in key student leaders to help evaluate the solution. And so the thought here is that just because it looks good to me and you doesn't mean it's going to connect with students, and getting that wrong is something worth avoiding. So we always knew that our courses would be scrutinized by its intended audience. So whenever we develop new programs, we're quick to bring in focus groups to help really ensure resonance and engagement. We also talk about product sustainability. And so when the Violence Against Women Act was amended with the Campus Save Act, many new providers entered the market without any compliance training expertise. And so most of these were players in the alcohol and drug abuse prevention space without any real experience servicing large, complex organizations in the areas of customer services, data security, technical support, and even legal resources. And so almost invariably, this has led many colleges and universities to partner with providers that don't have compliant programs and really can't sustain their solution. We also talk about the entire student population. And so since the updates to the Campus Save Act in October of 2014, one of the new challenges for institutions is they no longer just need to make a program available for all incoming students, but they also need to provide, make training available to all students and on an ongoing basis. And so this creates a much larger number of considerations. So there's really not a silver bullet that you can give a course once and done in order to meet their requirements. So we talk about the 7 elements of an online training program, and so first up is educational design, and so the design really needs to fulfill its mission to educate and engage, and that means that the program needs to be designed for its intended audience, whether that's a 19-year-old new student, a 30-year-old adult learner, or a 50-year-old tenured faculty member. The program really needs to speak to its audience. We talk about a tailored experience, and so the program needs to be uniquely tailored to your institution, student body, and faculty, and so you folks are tasked with educating at the highest level, and so your Campus Save Act program should really meet those standards of quality and mission. We talk about an ongoing education experience, and so the course needs to have an ongoing module to meet the Campus Save Act requirements, and so this is a course that changes every year and allows an institution to reinforce its primary training program, reemphasize those key elements, and adapt to the ever-moving target of the student experience. We talk about deployment and tracking tools, and so institution must succeed at deploying the course and reaching its audience. So it's not enough to customize and build a great program, it has to get there. And so there has to be an intuitive learning management system, an electronic notification system, preferably one with automated email reminders, so this doesn't become someone's full-time job. We also know that tracking is mission critical, and so as we talk about changing the culture of an institution, it's really key that you have insights into how your student body is responding to your program so that actionable strategies can be developed in response. We talked about product sustainability, and so having a provider that has the technical, legal, and customer service resources to make sure that the program is sound and really works to meet your training and tracking objectives as well as compliance requirements. And so this is really critical as many new players have jumped into this market without having the infrastructure in place to support their solution. Not to be overlooked, the program needs to meet the Campus Save Act and Title IX compliance requirements, and it has to be adaptable in this regard because we know that laws and regulations can change at the state and federal level. The course really needs to be flexible to meet these changes. And lastly, and this may seem less obvious, but the program really needs to be cloud-based. And so you could certainly entertain developing and installing a program in-house, but the need to adapt the program to meet the ever-changing student landscape and the compliance requirements would make it really cost-prohibitive to do anything other than cloud-based. And so I want to take a few minutes now to talk about what we saw last year from challenges around Campus Save Act required training. And so we know July 1, 2015, we know it well, kept us here late, got us here early, and so we know institutions had to have something in place for July 1, 2015 for Campus Save Act required training. We know October 1 had to show what you did on your annual Clarity Security report for the training. We know what Campus Save Act requires from a training perspective, so all incoming students and new employees must be offered a primary prevention program. All faculty and students must be offered an ongoing prevention and awareness campaign. All enrolled students and then institutions need to have airtight documentation to show what they've done to meet these regulatory requirements. Also want to touch on Title IX, which really deepens institutional responsibility to train students and faculty on an ongoing basis. And so the schools should provide sexual violence training for students at regular intervals, and employees on a regular basis need to know what they're required to report on, as well as how to respond to reports of sexual violence. And then in October of 2014, there were some major changes on the Campus Save Act, and one of the big clarifications related to exactly who should be trained within a Title IX institution. And so this slide further clarifies the need and importance of making the training program available across the entire institution. So it's not just incoming students anymore, it's now making the program available to all students and all employees. The DOE did stop short of mandating the program, but they did recommend that institutions really do mandate their training. So we talk about the challenge of all of this, and so meeting these requirements has really been a tall order for Title IX institutions. So it's been a short window of time to find the right program, get it developed and launched, and of course do it within budget. So institutions have come to us now saying, we need everything, we need it now, it needs to be good, and you know we probably can't afford it. And so that's the way that these conversations have gone. And it doesn't matter the size of the institution or the type, we talk to everyone, and we really see the same issues. And so institutions aren't necessarily used to this accelerated timeline, so it puts considerable strain on the administration to decide on something that requires a high level of institutional buy-in from faculty, administrators, students, and even IT. So fortunately, we have SaaS to the rescue, or software as a service, and so LawRoom CampusClarity, we're based here in the San Francisco Bay Area. One of the great tech movements that's taking place out here is cloud technology, or software as a service, which enables businesses and institutions to leverage powerful technologies without the burden of installing software or hardware, and with the added benefit of it being dynamic and adaptable. And so what that means for something like online training, it's suddenly possible to develop, host, and deploy an entire training environment, including the courseware, learning management functionality, and even the data storage piece completely in the cloud. And so we talk about how burdensome the Campus Save Act mandates can be for an institution, but honestly, without cloud technology, this would be an entirely different level of financial and infrastructural burden for ongoing course development, customization, installation, deployment, compliance monitoring, and legal updates, so the cost would be considerable. So it's pretty cool that we live in a time where we can effectively crowdsource these solutions by leveraging online compliance training companies like ours to develop programs quickly and in a cost-effective way. And so I'm going to walk into some of the course material, the tracking and reporting platform, the compliance expertise. Now, I do have a quick question, Nick. When we look at the lay of the land there from a faith-based, are you folks a conservative Christian institution? Or, I mean, what's really, because I know our courses are a harm reduction approach model. So I know you know, some of the more conservative institutions, we've developed a course to accommodate those folks. Can you kind of just give me a quick heads up on kind of what that looks like from you know, if this is a religious institution, if there are specific things like abstinence or you know, no sex before marriage? I'm just trying to understand, so I'm showing you the right material.
Yeah, certainly. We are religiously affiliated, not governed with the ELCA Lutheran Church. I would characterize our campus as continually growing to be more liberal in the time that I've been here, and so yeah, does that help answer the question?
It sure does. So that's perfect. So I'm on the right track here then. And so so we have educational design. We're really best known for our instructional design aspect, where we've won NASPA awards, we've won Stevie awards, and so we believe that students and employees should learn and be engaged. So we developed our program with over 40 student focus groups, and we use a lot of silhouettes, and so we found that students were very receptive to silhouettes because it removed racial bias and facial expressions. And so we have a situation here where there's a house party. This is fully animated in the course, and so you choose your own adventure, right? You choose a scenario. So we notice that Alan is taking a very intoxicated Dominique into the bedroom. So as a bystander, what are we going to do? So we go and get Nabuki to confront Alan, and Alan says, hey, Dominique's fine, we've been dancing all night. So we ask a question, what should Nabuki say? So if I answer, she's been dancing all night, she's probably interested, that's a bad call. That's the wrong answer. Dancing is not consent to anything. This could have led to sexual assault. So I actually have to go back and get the answer correct. So I go back and I say, hey, Alan, I don't think that's a good idea. Dominique's had a lot to drink. Why don't you call her tomorrow? Alan hands Dominique to Nabuki. We've intervened to stop a potential sexual assault. We say, nice work. This can be intimidating, but it's important to act when you think that something is wrong. We also know it's critical that there's learning points, so students don't just go on autopilot and click through the material without paying attention and being engaged. And so when I get an answer incorrect, I actually have to go back and get it right to move on. So I get some feedback. We talked about having substance abuse prevention incorporated into the course. So from a conduct, changing behavior perspective, we want to make sure that programs do incorporate innovative exercises to really engage with students so that they're seeing how their decisions are affected by alcohol and substances. So this is the BAC apparatus. I put in that I'm a male, I've had X number of drinks, I've been drinking this long, and I weigh this weight, and it lets me know that I'm intoxicated and that I am incapable of consenting for sex. And so a really great way to show how that judgment is being affected. So I'm going to walk into a little bit of the live course content for you folks so that you can take a look and see what this looks like. And so I'm going to go straight into the standard undergrad primary prevention program, which does incorporate really 4 areas. So it's an hour and a half. It covers sex in college, drug and alcohol abuse, healthy relationships, and sexual assault. So when we look at sex in college, we talk about the hookup culture. This is fully audio. It's got some really great graphics. It's a really great learning experience, and so it was built with students for students to really speak to students. And then we get into some of the healthy relationships. So there are some same-sex scenarios. So this is a non-heteronormative course, but goes into some animated scenarios. And then we get into drug and alcohol abuse prevention. So we use a lot of different learning modalities. So here we have a video, for example, and you can't hear the audio on any of this, but it gives you the what is a drink and what is not a standard drink, delivered by a bartender, letting people know that more and more students are choosing not to drink. If you're under 21, you're not supposed to be drinking anyway. And then once I've gone through this video, I go into a question and answer section. So which one's a standard drink? When I click on the mojito, I know that that is incorrect. So I actually have to go back and get it right. So I go back and I select the wine and I get that correct. We also get into bystander intervention. So what to do in the event that someone has alcohol poisoning. And this was actually, the University of Idaho put out an article about 2 years ago where this activity helped save a student's life. So a student recognized the signs and saved another student, which is really what this is all about, right? Is changing behavior so people know what to do when there's, when there's issues, when there's scenarios, the Bacchus maneuver. And I'm going through this at a rather quick clip. I am happy to assign out any of these courses for review. We get into substances, so we know that looking at the effects of, for example, opiates, male, female, short-term, long-term, and then how that affects the brain, the heart, and the lungs. And then lastly, sexual violence. We get into a trigger warning. We have a situation where a male student manipulates a female student to come back to his place and then has sex with her while she's passed out. So we know that that is sexual assault. So we want to let students know that that's against the law, and really just create that awareness. This is just some of the employee training, which does have the same multi-learning modality approach. We get into accessibility, so all of the courses are fully accessible for hearing and visually impaired students and employees. Tailor experience, so it's really critical that the course is tailored to your institution, so there's really this consistent message across the organization. So the course has to have the look and feel of each unique campus to maximize the learning experience. And so here it's incorporated with your logo, and then there's a welcome letter with your campus photos. There's a policy integration so that you get an electronic signature. We talked about ongoing education, so each year we're creating new courseware to really refocus employee and student engagement on current topics that are relevant in the higher ed space. So we give you an inclusive access program that's a cohesive conduct platform. So we give you follow-up courses, we give you sanction courses, we give you the annual ongoing. So really what we talk about here is a 4-step approach to behavior change. So we have a primary prevention program, we have follow-up courses, we have annual ongoing training that's new and different, and then we have an optional climate survey so that you can test every year on the climate survey to see what programs are working, what needs to be tweaked, and so forth. And so this is just a screenshot from the annual refresher. We have an on-campus ground game, so PowerPoint presentations, audience facilitator-led discussion guides, posters, article prints. So this is not a check-the-box solution. And then we get into course deployment. So whether you have 200 students or 20,000, a real area of concern is how you're going to monitor, track, and deploy this to make sure that employees and students are getting this done. So whether you're doing something internally or using another solution, you don't want this to be someone's full-time job. So we can do a batch upload of names and emails. We can also do single sign-on through CAS, Shibboleth, or LDAP. We can do integrations with the SFTP, so there's file drops and back-end information, completion information provided. But the standard approach really is simple. I'll upload a list of names and emails, send out an invitation for the students to take the courses that's branded to your campus, and then set up an automated email reminder. You can also go in and look at behavioral data, so how students are responding to anonymized survey questions. You can look at demographics, so then you can create appropriate interventions in response. You can look at tracking and reporting. You look at the climate survey tools, so you can develop climate surveys right in the platform and then launch those out. We talk about compliance expertise, so this course is state-specific with the law integrated in plain English. We built out 50 courses for 50 states. We have 7 lawyers on staff because we know laws change. So in California, we just had a yes means yes. In New York, enough is enough. In Illinois, we had another sexual assault prevention bill. Another requirement of the SAVE Act courses are campus-specific to your campus, both on and off campus resources, as well as conduct, process-specific. And then lastly, did you have a question, Nick? Is there a question?
Yes. Is there any possibility of sharing more information than just our state?
You can put your own information in the resources. Yeah, so it's a self-serve option.
Because we're 20 minutes from Illinois, and a plurality of our students are from Illinois.
Yeah, so so part of the standard customization is that we incorporate in your one state law. If you wanted to incorporate other state laws, that would be an additional cost, or you could just put it into the resources section. Okay. So those are the 2 options. You either pay for us to do another state law, or you put in your own information in those resources.
Okay, makes sense.
And then a little information about LawRoom, and I'd be remiss not to share with you LawRoom's compliance expertise, and so really not a sales pitch. I know, I owe it to you to give you information about LawRoom, and it should be a big deal for any campus SAVE Act solution. So LawRoom has over 20 years compliance expertise servicing tens of thousands of organizations along the way. We also have an instructional design team of 10 on-staff designers and course writers, so that courses are engaging, that their students and employees are receptive to those courses. We trained over 1.5 million employees and students last year at over 1,500 organizations. In 2013, we had about 20 hired institutions. We now have over 600, and I was actually in Madison, Wisconsin on Sunday to deliver a final presentation to the University of Wisconsin system, and so we won their RFP. So we are now, in addition to, Harvard, Stanford, USC, Yale, Columbia, NYU, Edgewood, we're also now the exclusive provider for University of Wisconsin system. So that's pretty much it for me. Any questions, comments, or concerns?
Yeah, I think maybe just give us a second here to think if we have any questions.
So there's a lot of automated notifications when things are not. How difficult is it to adjust who has signed up? For example, a second-year student who wasn't paying attention when we said in orientation that it should be only first-year students. Can we take those students out?
So you don't want the orientation students to take the training?
No, I'm saying when someone who doesn't need to sign up for it does, can we take them out? Or if someone signs up with multiple email addresses, can we remove those?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that's standard. Yeah, I mean, it won't let someone. Yeah, you're absolutely right. So from a customer success standpoint, they would work with you to remove those folks or remove duplicates.
Max, anything tech speaking? No. That makes sense. Okay. Abby, do you have anything? Okay. All right. No, I think that was the information that we were looking for, George, and kind of the quick fly through of the offering, and certainly a lot of options, and the continued ongoing options as well. From a packaging standpoint, I don't know at what point does it make sense if we want to talk to our HR people about would they want to utilize this product as well in conjunction with our office utilizing it for students.
Yeah, that would be that'd be the most cost-effective approach, Nick.
Okay.
And I can reach out to the HR folks. We can schedule a follow-up call as well to walk through the pricing.
Okay. So yeah, I didn't know if you wanted, if there was something you could send over in terms of contract and pricing, or if you preferred, or if that would be a phone call.
Yeah, so I'll put it together, and then I'd like to have a quick phone call, like 10 minutes, just to talk about it, so everything is transparent and clear.
Okay, great. If you could, when you're ready to do that, if you could send me over some time, probably early next week, if that was sometime next week, and then we'll try to coordinate that phone call with myself and Kimberly and you.
Perfect. Well, I appreciate everyone's time, and then I'll send this recording over as well.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, George.
Appreciate everyone's time. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.